Hello everybody, this is Digital Seduction doing my Unreal Development Kit tutorials. This one is on using Matinee or other system features to allow you to have animated meshes. So if you see here, this is the brand new default scene. This is the morning lighting scene in the blank slates section. So I have two meshes here. They're the same mesh, just brought in differently. This is the static mesh. This is the interpActor of that mesh. They're both here, referenced from the content browser, the same thing. Yay, Epic, you did a good job. Thanks for all these free things. They're awesome. If you notice, the interpActor is pink. It's a good way to separate it because it's a different type of actor. It casts dynamic shadows. It does different things than static meshes do. So when you open your interpActor, you can do some pretty cool things with it right off the bat. If you don't want to use Matinee, if you don't need a very complex animation, if you just want to do something like rotating, all you have to do is go in here. There's movement, F4, or double click if you don't know that. There's the movement tab. You don't really need to change anything up here. In fact, you probably shouldn't unless you want to do something unless you know what you're doing, or you just want to do something cool and mess around. I just want to do something random. I'm going to do a set rotation, probably about 20, and then to make sure it rotates, go down to physics rotating, or fizz, however you want to say it. Then, if you play it, boom, it's rotating. So that's the simple way to do it. If you want to do a more complex version, just reopen it. Stop this out, bring it back to interpolating, set to 0, even though it'll stop on its own anyways. Now we're going to use Kismet, which, if you don't know, is the visual programming language that Unreal uses for the in-editor programming, which is basically scripting, which is a nice thing. It adds a lot of depth to your levels without much complication. It's pretty easy to use, and it can do some pretty awesome, powerful things. So let's just do a basic Matinee sequence now. So I already have the level loaded, which is event level loaded, which basically means that the level has been loaded if you don't have common sense. So with the object selected, you're going to do a new Matinee, and then you're going to do loaded invisible to play. So far, it's pretty common sense. The arrow just means it's connected, which means it's going to do a linear progression from level loaded to Matinee. Then, if you don't want it to play more than once, you're good. If you want it to stop, you do completed and play. If you want it to repeat, if you want it to reverse, you can do completed, reverse. And then you can do reverse to play. So I'm just going to do that because I feel like doing that. Reverse. Now make sure your object's still selected and double click Matinee. It's going to open up the Matinee window. This is essentially Unreal's version of the animation software that anything else uses. It's pretty much used for cutscenes and other in-level animations, which makes it nice because it's a world relative animation thing that you can do. So you don't have to export and create a whole new file or just other things, which is always really annoying and can get really complicated. So with your object selected, add a new empty group. You can call it whatever you want. I'm just going to call this tube movement. And it looks like it's spelled right for me. Add a new movement track to make sure your object's still selected. There you go. So you have this new movement track. Make sure you have your green, which is your preview, and then you have your red, which is your actual time, your actual animation. I have snapping set, so I'm going to snap for every 2, it looks like. Set that down. So now I can snap between all the various blockades, which is always nice, because you never know when you need snapping. And it keeps everything pretty precise, so it's not on different scales of movement or whatever. So to start off, we're going to start it at the beginning, add a key. This is the add key button, so you can, if you don't know what keys do, it's basically like the set key feature in most animation programs where the key is you set a key and then you move the object, or actually it's probably the reverse. Usually you move the object, then you set a key. Here you set the key and then you adjust the object's position or movement on that key. So we set a key at 0. Now we're going to set a key at 0.5. Add a key here. I don't know why everything's showing up really small, but it's there. So didn't mean to hit that. Go back to 5, select the key. Here you go. Select this. And then move it. This is just do whatever you want, adjusting it for the key one. Do rotation and do that. So now if I just go back to the beginning and I play, it's going to do the, yay, it's moving. So now go to 0.1, 1 second, and do another movement. Let's just move this. Let's move this over here. I like to be seconds as opposed to half seconds. That way you have more time for movement. It's not as jerky and weirdness. Let's move it over here. A bit of an oblique angle. Alright, there's key 1. Let's move it over here. I'm just doing random movements just to show you how it's done. Let's do a rotation back here, 90 degrees. I have snapping on for rotation, which basically means it's an even setting when it turns, which makes it nice because I know where it is, I know how to get it back. I don't have to do a bunch of weird undoing or hoping that I have it right. I just know it's exact. I'm just going to move it up. Then I'm going to move it over here, 45. And then for 4. Move it back over its original position. And then for 5, scroll over. I'm going to move it back to the beginning. Close. One off. Alright. So now I'm going to have to rotate it back. It's pretty straightforward. Nothing too complicated about that. But the other thing is they have this other sort of funk in their animation system, which makes the animations always look a bit off. But to fix it, you're going to have to use something called the use quad interpolation. For instance, if you watch this now, it's going to rotate in a strange fashion. That it looks decent there, but other times it'll be really strange and it'll be really annoying. So if that ever happens, just use quad interpolation, and then it's essentially the shortest distance. So it'll rotate it as you rotate your cursor, which can be nice and helpful if you ever have issues. So there you go. That's Matinee. That's going to work fine. When you play your level, it's going to do exactly that. Actually, no, it's going to do that, but it's going to go back after reverse and bring it there. So I essentially get twice the animation for the price of one, which is nice because it just makes everything so much easier to use. There you go. Flying cubes. Or tubes, whatever they're called. And since they are that, they have all their collision set still. So they collide, they're fully collidable. It's a great thing, and you can see the light shafts still render. It's a great tool. I love Unreal. And that's basic animation using Matinee. Hope you enjoyed the tutorial. If you liked it, if you want more, please like it. It'll help me out. Give me any comments or critique in the comments or PM me, depending on what you want to do, or any suggestions for future tutorials. I'm probably going to do a lot of sort of building stuff. I'm going to do some modeling, going to do some texturing, and maybe some materials. So I have a lot of stuff to cover, and I hope I can create a good database for other people out there who want to learn. Alright, this is the end. Goodbye.